Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. This is going to be my Euron Greyjoy video, so just careful for spoilers. If you're not caught up on the TV show yet, I'll be talking about a few things that George R. R. Martin has mentioned about the character too. Right now on the TV show, he's like the de facto Ironborn villain. As crazy as Theon and Yara are, it's pretty obvious that they're the protagonists. We want them to win. They've stolen some of Euron's ships, but they have way less than the 1,000 that are needed to carry Daenerys' forces to Westeros. So there's a couple big problems that need to be solved, but that's effectively what the Ironborn storyline has become. Daenerys coming to Westeros is just a question of who brings her to Westeros and who forms that alliance first. Will Yara sex Daenerys' tits off into an alliance, or will Euron make her submit? Now in the books, that relationship between those two storylines is a little more complicated. There are more people involved. We have Victorian Greyjoy, who is going over with all the ships, so they've collapsed a lot of that. Euron even has Dragonbinder, which I guess if you really want to make jokes, you could call a metaphor for his dick. The TV show is a little bit clearer about that, like he's grabbing his crotch as he's like, I'm gonna make Daenerys submit to me. But as we know, what does Daenerys do when men try to make her submit? She roasts them alive. So I don't think that anybody believes that Euron is just gonna sail over, show Daenerys his dick, and that's gonna be the end of it. They're gonna conquer Westeros together. But what about those 1,000 ships? That's actually a really important plot point. I will be a little upset if they use the mass transit workaround, because as funny as it is to see Littlefinger fly all over Westeros in the span of a single episode, building 1,000 sailing ships takes a long time, even with modern technology. And I love the idea that Euron has them basically dismantling everything that's made of wood on the Iron Isles to build all those ships, as if they'll build the ships, but in doing so, they'll have to dismantle most of their homes. But either way, there's going to be some conflict with Euron, and because his power is at sea, it will probably take place at sea. So the real question with his storyline is whether or not Theon and Yara will gain the additional ships needed to get all the troops over, or if they'll just take a smaller force. Or even third option, Euron will actually make it around there eventually, and they'll just take the rest of his ships by force. The easiest way to get something in Game of Thrones that's relatively complex, rather than get a loan from the Iron Bank to build it, is to just take it from someone else. So that'd be an awesome takedown for Euron Greyjoy. But he's actually a pretty big badass, and he's sailed all over the world. So he's probably got a few aces up his sleeve Dragonbinder style, even on the TV show, even though it doesn't seem like the TV show is doing Dragonbinder. Here's my big question for you guys. Let me know where you think the Euron Greyjoy story is going to come to a head this season. Do you think we'll see a battle at sea? And how do you think that Theon and Yara are going to get Daenerys and all of her forces to Westeros? Do you think they'll take a smaller force with the ships that they do have? Or do you think it's going to be an Iron Bank solution? Now, they're in Old Volantis, so they're not super close to the Iron Bank. But I would be willing to bet the Iron Bank would be happy to bankroll Daenerys, thinking that she's probably the best option for repaying all the loans that they have lost in Stannis. Think about how much money they sunk into him when Stannis hired all those sellswords. The Iron Bank's motto is the Iron Bank will have its due. And that's actually another good thing too we'll have to talk about after the series is over. The Crown is still deeply in debt to the Iron Bank, but it's not necessarily related to the Euron Greyjoy storyline. I'll just laugh if there's some sort of Deus Ex Machina solution at the end where Euron just magics up 1,000 ships and sails all the way around the Horn of Westeros down in the south up to Slaver's Bay. Like, oh, when you weren't looking at me, I was making all those ships. Here they are. They're all ready to go. The stuff that George R. R. Martin has been teasing for Euron's storyline is a lot more fun too. If you really like Euron as a villain, you are going to love Winds of Winter. So in the latest material that George R. R. Martin has read in public, the damp hair has visions of Euron conquering Westeros, wearing a shark teeth crown, sitting on the Iron Throne in a suit of Valyrian armor with someone who's, relatively white looking. He can't quite make them out, but I think it's implied that it's Daenerys. So he's basically having visions of Euron completing his mission of making Daenerys submit in conquering Westeros. But on top of that, George R. R. Martin makes Euron even worse. So the damp hair is remembering to his childhood when Euron would sexually abuse him and his other brother, and then Euron admits to killing all of their other brothers. Remember, Euron and the damp hair are both brothers of Balon Greyjoy, Theon's father. They're both Theon's uncles, and they had a bunch of other brothers that Euron admits to killing. So while the TV show's version of Euron just seems like a total asshole, book version of Euron is this grand villain, like this psychopathic grand villain. So hopefully that gets you a little more pumped up for a Snowball, Jon Snow versus Ramsay style battle with this Ironborn Daenerys storyline. What I'm hoping is they push Euron into next season and we see something of a Snowball at sea with that storyline. But we haven't seen him in a while. There's 3 more episodes, including episode 8 tonight. so just be prepared for Euron Greyjoy follow-up scenes in the next couple of episodes, because even if they push him into next season, they still have to follow up with what's going on with him before the end of this season. But what's going to happen tonight is I'll post my episode 8 video after it airs, so be sure to subscribe to get that. There's also a new round of the giveaway that's happening right now. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber, leave a comment on this video. So I'll just remind everyone when I post my episode 8 video tonight. Even though the TV show has really tuned Euron's character down a little bit, I think he has potential to be one of the best non-Ramsay villains on the show. But while you guys wait for my video to post tonight, you can click here to learn all about Lady Stoneheart. I kind of explain her story in the books, what the TV show is probably going to change about that. And you can click here for my episode 7 video from last week. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.